Now, on whatever occasion, a bhikkhu inhaling long notes that he is inhaling long, or exhaling long notes that he is exhaling long, or inhaling short notes that he is inhaling short, or exhaling short notes that he is exhaling short, trains himself to inhale and exhale, experiencing the entire body, trains himself to inhale and exhale, calming the bodily construction. On that occasion, the bhikkhu remains focused on the body in and of itself, enthusiastic, alert and aware, thereby eliminating greed and distress relating to the world. I tell you, bhikkhu, that this, the in and out breath, is classed as a body among bodies, which is why the bhikkhu on that occasion remains focused on the body in and of itself, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, thereby eliminating greed and distress relating to the world. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains himself to inhale and exhale, experiencing joy, trains himself to inhale and exhale, perceiving pleasure, trains himself to breath in and out, experiencing mental construction, trains himself to breath in and out, calming mental construction. On that occasion, the bhikkhu remains focused on feelings in and of themselves, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, subduing greed and distress relating to the world. I tell you, bhikkhu, that this, the close attention to in and out breath, is classed as a feeling among feelings, which is why the bhikkhu on that occasion remains focused on feelings in and of themselves, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, thereby eliminating greed and distress relating to the world. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains himself to breath in and out, experiencing to the mind, trains himself to inhale and exhale, satisfying the mind, trains himself to inhale and exhale, concentrating the mind, trains himself to breath in and out, releasing the mind. On that occasion, the bhikkhu remains focused on the mind in and of itself, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, subduing greed and distress relating to the world. I don't say that there is mindfulness of in and out breathing in one of confused mindfulness and no alertness, which is why the bhikkhu on that occasion remains focused on the mind in and of itself, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, thereby eliminating greed and distress relating to the world. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains himself to inhale and exhale, reflecting on impermanence, trains himself to inhale and exhale, reflecting on disillusion, trains himself to inhale and exhale, reflecting on ceasing, trains himself to inhale and exhale, reflecting on relinquishment. On that occasion, the bhikkhu remains focused on mental states in and of themselves, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, subduing greed and distress relating to the world. He who sees clearly, discernments with the removal of greed and distress, is one who oversees with equanimity, which is why the bhikkhu on that occasion remains focused on mental quality in and of itself, enthusiastic, alert, and aware, thereby eliminating greed and distress relating to the world. This is how mindfulness of in and out breathing is developed and practiced, so as to bring the four frames of reference to their culmination. And how, friends, when the four foundations of awareness, the four frames of reference have been developed, when they have been made much of, how do they bring to fulfillment, to culmination the seven links to enlightenment, the seven factors of awakening? At the time, friends, when a friend is living by contemplating the body as a mere body, just a disgusting form, through enthusiastic and clearly conscious of it, continually aware of it, steady and without lapse, so as to control the desire and aversion, greed and distress, for bodies and forms, in and of the world. At that time undisrupted awareness is aroused in this friend. Friends, at the time when undisrupted awareness, when unrelaxed, unslack awareness, when unlapsing and continual awareness is aroused and irreversibly established in such friend, at that exact occasion is the factor of awakening, that is awareness, stir up in this friend. At that time of awareness stir up, such friend develops the factor of awakening, that is awareness. At that time the factor of awakening, that is awareness, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. Living thus aware, awake, mindful, such curious and interested friend examines, inquire into, scrutinizes, analyzes, and bring all phenomena forward for investigation, by means of insight and by observation. At the time, friends, when such a friend, living thus aware, mindful, examines, inquires into, scrutinizes, analyzes, and bring these things forward for investigation, he come to comprehension by means of insight. At exactly that occasion the factor of awakening, that is investigation of phenomena, of states, of the Dhamma, the norm, is stirred up in such friend. At that time the friend develops the factor of awakening, that is investigation into things. At that time the factor of awakening, that is investigation into things, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. While such friend is thus examining, analyzing, inquiring into all phenomena, the unsluggish energy of enthusiasm inherent in curiosity is stirred up in this friend. At the time, friends, when such unsluggish enduring energy is stirred up in a friend who is examining, who inquires into that quality of unflagging persistence, at that time, the factor of awakening, that is energy, is stirred up in such friend. At that time such friend develops the factor of awakening, that is energy. At that time the factor of awakening, that is energy, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. When such a friend has stirred up energy, an immaculate joy not of this world, a rapture not of this body, arises, a joy not experienced before, a bliss not of the flesh, not caused by sensing anything. At the time, friends, when such immaculate joy not of this world, Such ecstasy not of this body arise in a friend of stir-up energy. At that time the factor of awakening, that is rapture, is stirred up in such friend. At that time the friend developed the factor of awakening, that is rapture. At that time the factor of awakening, that is rapture, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. The body of one whose mind is enraptured, as happy as can be, satisfied and content, grows calm and is all tranquilized, and mind and thought too grows calm, and is all tranquilized. At the time when both the body of a friend whose mind is enraptured is tranquilized and his thought too is all tranquilized, at that time the factor of awakening, that is tranquility, is aroused in such friend. At that time the friend developed the factor of awakening, that is tranquility. At that time the factor of awakening, that is tranquility, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. The mind of one whose body is thus calm, tranquil and at ease become quite concentrated. At the time, friends, when the mind is concentrated in a friend whose body is calm, tranquil and at ease, at that time the factor of awakening, that is concentration, is aroused in such friend. And at that time, the friend developed the factor of awakening, that is concentration. Then, at that time the factor of awakening, that is concentration, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. Such noble friend with mind concentrated thus is one who reviews with reason, with proper care, with prudence, any of his thought. At the time, friends, when a friend looks with proper care at the thought concentrated thus, at that time the factor of awakening, that is equanimity, solid even mental balance, settles, is aroused in such friend. At that time of equanimity is aroused, the friend developed the factor of awakening, that is equanimity. Then, at that time the factor of awakening, that is equanimity, come to fulfillment, to culmination of development in this friend. At the time, friends, when a friend is faring along contemplating the feelings just as responses, the mind just as moods, the reality just as mere mental states, enthusiastic, clearly conscious of them, continually aware of them, so as to control the attraction and rejection, greed and aversion provoked by this world. At that time the factor of awakening, that is equanimity, come to fulfillment of development in this friend. Friends, when the four frames of reference, the four foundations of awareness are developed thus, made much of thus, refined thus, they bring to fulfillment the 7 links in awakening. And how, friends, when the 7 links of awakening have been developed thus, refined thus, completed thus, when they are made much of, how do they bring to fulfillment complete freedom through knowledge? Herein, friends, a friend developed the factor of awakening, that is awareness dependent on aloofness, seclusion and solitude dependent on detachment, disillusion and dispassion dependent on cessation, stopping and ending in surrender, of letting go. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is investigation into things. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is energy. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is rapture. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is tranquility. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is concentration. The friend developed the factor of awakening, that is equanimity. The friend developed these factor of awakening dependent on aloofness, seclusion and solitude dependent on detachment, disillusion and dispassion dependent on cessation, stopping and ending in the surrender of letting go. Friends, when the 7 links in awakening are developed thus, are made much of thus, are refined thus, they bring to complete fulfillment the final freedom through direct knowledge.
Thus spoke the Buddha. Delighted, aroused, uplifted, inspired and gratified, these bhikkhus rejoiced in what the Blessed One had said. Buddha taught the process on how to complete fulfillment, the final freedom through direct knowledge. Today's civilization world is also the same. Some of these principles of Buddha teachings have been widely used by scientists, students in schools, researcher, developer, engineer, inventor in any field, medicine, military, sports, politic, etc. They use these process or tools, training themselves, awareness, investigations, energy, concentration, etc., as spoken by Buddha to attain their new discoveries and reach their objectives in any field that they have focused, or to attain of as yet unattained, to discover of as yet undiscovered, etc. The key words in Part 1 and Part 2, that Buddha frequently reiterated is, train themselves, awareness and every breath's in and out. Train themselves mean, Buddha just provide the method to practice, and bhikkhus need to study, practice, cultivate, develop to generate the knowledge by their own efforts. Breath in and out. Bhikkhus intensely train themselves every breath in and out without lapse and flaw to attain ultimate knowledge and freedom. Practices and cultivate mindfulness every breath in and out, is the most powerful and continuous way to generate the knowledge. As compare with, we study something in school or university hourly, daily, monthly, or few months per year, etc. But this training of awareness is occurring every breath in and out until reach ultimate knowledge and freedom. You can test, do experiment and witness by yourself, not only awakening in the field of spiritual development, but also in any objectives that you are interesting. If you understand, use it correctly, then your knowledge is aroused very fast on whatever subjects or any field that you want to achieve.